Okay, welcome to our 1 year anniversary for buying our property. And so last year I did a complete, what I called tour video of the property. So I'm going to try to replicate that sort of. So I remember I started with showing down, this is the road that we live on, which is a dirt road. And there's a rural highway about a quarter of a mile that you might be able to see. Let me zoom in a little bit. Yeah, see, you can see that stop sign there. So where you live on a rural road, but it's not really that much of a distance. It's maybe a quarter of a mile. So let's start. Okay, here is our property line stake. This is the same one from last year. So we're going to start here and go, we're on the north side of the property, so we're going to start here and go west. Okay, the first part of the property here is pretty much the same. We have trees, wooded part for about 2 acres of our property. We have 9 acres total. For those that don't know, we live in rural Horry County, South Carolina. That's the same county as Myrtle Beach is in. Just we're on the other side of the county, not towards the ocean. We're about 30 miles from the ocean as the crow flies. And we have plenty of crows around here that could verify that. So all this is the wooded part. Now, one thing that we liked about this particular property is starting about now, if you look through the trees, you can start to see the field. And what we liked about this property is that we had a little sliver of trees here that can be used as a natural barrier for the property. So the only sides that are exposed outside of the property is the west side and a little bit of the north side that we'll get to in a minute. Now all this looks pretty much the same as it did last year. We're coming up on about the halfway point of the property. We have 9 acres, which is about 600 feet by 600 feet. It's not exactly square, but it's pretty close. So I don't know if you can actually see it right there, but there's the back of our shed. And here is the power line that Andrea's mother's transformer is on. So her transformer is right there. Getting power to Andrea's mother's trailer was a little more interesting than we thought it would be. Ours was fairly simple, but hers was a little more complicated. So as we're coming through, now last year at this time, we had 5 additional trees right here. And we had 3 sweet gums and 2 pine trees. And so where you can see Andrea's cabin right there, that is where the sweet gums were, you know, in this little foliage area in front. And then you see her truck right there. And then the 2 pine trees were over here. We needed to take those trees down because they were leaning and not in good shape, and we didn't want them to fall and hit on her property. And then the really, really big tree, which was directly in front of me, that tree was leaning and it was 80 feet tall. And if it would have fell, it would have hit our well house, which is over here. So let me zoom in a little bit, get back to normal zoom since we're out of that area. Obviously you can see things are a little different from last year. There is our house. That house, we ordered that house in the middle of June. It arrived on site August 1st and we moved in September 21st. Then you can see here's the culvert. We had to add this culvert in because there was no direct access to the property. The farmer that farmed this actually gets access from the county property, which is behind us over here. So now we're coming up onto the west side of the property right now. And if you see all these T-post stakes in the ground, those are fruit trees that we planted. We have 3 fig trees in the front, 3 peach trees in the center, and 3 plum trees in the far. I also put in a T-post stake here and wrapped it to show where the actual property line is. That's our internet, and up there is our transformer. So if you look further west, the road bends over to the corner. That house right there, which is one of only 2 houses that you can actually see from our property, that house is over 100 years old. I didn't know it at the time last year, but yeah, all the land around here is family owned and has been family owned for hundreds of years. And then there is a trailer back there, and those are the only 2 residences that you can see from our property. All right, let me hop the ditch and then we'll start walking. Okay, now we're on the west side of the property and we're going to go south. Grass is kind of long here, so the camera might shake around a little bit. But pretty much what we've done is we have that little building right there is our well house building. That was actually the first actual building that we actually built. Andre and I had built furniture and stuff in the past, but we had never really built anything before. So that was our little trial building. Then of course you got the side of Andre's mother's cabin and then our house. Originally we had the drive stop in front of the house, but when they went and put Andre's house on, we had them add some more gravel to make it bigger. Just as a little side note right here, here's one of the plum trees. So we got those at Tractor Supply, and as you can tell, it's going to be a little while before they actually start producing fruit, which that's fine. That one, the main stalk seems to be growing a lot better, but we might be hit or miss with those. Now you can see back part of our fence and then our chicken coop and tent area. That tent is going to get moved, but the chicken coop obviously is staying put. Now from this point here, let me show you from this side. I have a T-post in the ground right here. This T-post isn't a property line. This is more of a awareness line for me and the farmer. So this is at our west property line, and then let me swing around. I don't know if you can see it. We'll definitely get to it when I get over to that point, but there's another T-post at the trees over there, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to have some sort of visual delineation between the property that we control. By control, I mean that we maintain and stuff, and the field. So the field, which is what I'm coming into right now, is all of this, which is the back 4.5 acres, is still farmed by the same farmer that has been farming this field for the last, I think he said 50 years or something. So a week after we closed, we were out here actually doing our own little garden work and stuff, and some of our neighbors came over and said hi, and I said I wish it would be great that the farmer could come over here and farm this. And he said, hold on. And 10 minutes later, the farmer showed up and says, do you want me to farm this? And I'm like, yes, please. And because obviously this is not big enough for him to get rich off of, but he will make a little bit of money off of it, and I'm fine with that. But the main thing is, we don't have to maintain this. This is about 400 feet by 500 feet of something we're not really using right now. We have it, it's ours. If we want to use it in the future, we can. But we don't really need this right now, so let the farmer have it. And so on top of everything else, we get to see what he grows. All right, now we're coming up to the southwest point, which is around here somewhere. So I don't know if you hear me labored breathing. We had a monsoon yesterday that we got an inch of rain fairly quickly. Then 3 hours later, we had a severe thunderstorm with some pea-sized hail. And so the ground is actually kind of wet right now. Luckily, this is sandy soil, so it dries out pretty quick. What I'm showing you now, this is a tower that is owned by the county, and they come by and they maintain it. They actually mowed in here last week, but so yeah, our entire south side is something that's going to be maintained by the county, and they're not really going to do anything with that. And then the east side over here, we own those trees, you know, for at least 100, 150 feet. Then the north side, let me zoom in a little bit, all the way to where Andrea's cabin is, or Andrea's mother's cabin. We have trees that actually block out a little bit on that side. So if the north side ever got developed, then only the area in front of the house, you actually directly see the road, and then obviously the entire west side. So let me quit yakking and start walking. So now I'm walking on the north side of the property, or should say south side of the property looking north. And like I said, the ground is still a little on the squishy side. So let's see. Yeah, there's my footprints right now, so that tells you how water laden the soil is right now. Normally it's not even close to this. You could walk on top of it no problem. But anyway, we're gonna continue on. I need to quit moving the camera around. So you can see the back of the house. Now the back of the house from here is about 400, 450 feet, something like that. The chicken coop is a little bit closer. Chicken coop is not done yet. We're still finishing the run area, but the chickens are in the coop. Hold on a second. I just looked, and I'm not the only one making footprints in the dirt here. These are deer prints. So yes, we do have wildlife around here, and we have a lot of wildlife around here. So Anyway, so we're coming on here. So if you see to the right of Andrea's mother's house, she has a little Rubbermaid shed, and then our tent, which is currently being used to house all the equipment to build the coop, is going to go in between those two. And then we have the shed that we built last fall. And then of course she got the fence that was built during the winter time after the shed was done. And so now we're getting towards the east side here, and we might have standing water, so I might have to maneuver around a little bit, but we'll see. This is the low side of the property. It looks dead flat, but there is actually a small slope. Okay. Okay. Let me pan around here. This is what I call the cut through. The farmer also comes through this area too, because he farms all of the fields in the area around here. It's the same person. So when he comes in, they just come in wholesale and do everything in this area all at once. I'll see if I can zoom in. All right, that house right there is on that rural highway. That house is almost 100 years old. It's like 95. And that house is the reason I saw this property. What happened was I put into our MLS looker thing on realtor.com that I wanted 5 acres or more. And so that property popped up. And I accidentally hit a... No. There we go. Sorry about that. I accidentally hit a link thing that removed the 5 acres part. Well, this property popped up, and you're saying, well, it's 9 acres. Of course, it's more than 5. Well, they were going to subdivide it into 2 different parts. So one part was going to be 4.5 acres here, and one part was going to be 4.5 acres over there. And that's how they were going to sell it. So anyway, long story short, I looked over there and I said, well, these are 4.5 acres. Maybe one of these would be good. And then I realized it was all part of the same property, and that the cost of both of these was about the cost we were wanting anyway. So after that property being on the market for about 14 days, we made an offer on it. And so we're on the east side now, looking west, and kind of sludging through the almost quicksand here. But this is all the field part right here. And I have the trees to the other side of me. We're gonna get up here and stop in a second, and then we'll go back in and look at some of the wooded area. And originally, Sherlock, who's the channel mascot, was allowed to free roam, but that dog is about as hard-headed as a Missouri mule, so we had to end up building a fence. That fence, whoa, hold on. All right, sorry about that. The ground was getting a lot mushier, so I was sinking. So anyway, long story short, Sherlock was hard-headed and wouldn't listen. And about that same time we got Lady, lady at the time was 8 months old, so wherever Sherlock would go, she would go. And yeah, see, here's a good bit of water right here. Just wanted to show you these. These are actual bamboo. So we have some bamboo growing. There's some bamboo over there. But and there's bamboo all along the perimeter right here. So anyway, so we had to figure out how to build a fence. So their area now that they're allowed to be in is a ½ acre. So we'll get to that in a second. Okay. All right, here's that T-post I was talking about a few minutes ago that delineates the field from our property, or what we maintain. And then let's see if I can zoom in. Luckily I know where it is. Okay, you might be able to barely see it. It's directly in front of the right side of the house, so maybe you can see it on the video, maybe not. But that delineates the maintaining of the property. Otherwise the entire property would look like this. None of this has been mowed this year. So, all right, let's zoom out. All right, the other reason why I want to come over here is I want to find a spot. We ordered 10 chickens and we got them at the beginning of March. And let me pan around. All 10 of them survived, and one of them passed away after 2.5 weeks. Best guess is they think that she just wasn't her insides weren't developing properly, so there's nothing we could have done. So I wanted to always create what I call a Stephen King area, which is a pet cemetery. And so I put this T-post here temporarily, so I remember exactly where she is. We buried her right in front of that T-post right there. I want to extend the pet cemetery back into the woods a little bit. As you can see, the woods is pretty full back there. Once you get out of the edge and actually get into it, it's actually pretty different. One of the long-term goals is to actually cut like maybe some paths or something back there, but that's on the master list, so to speak. So, all right. So our garden that we had last year was right where all that water is right now. That's where the garden was. We wanted the garden to be an area that made sure it had plenty of water, which obviously it does. And it was funny because we actually bought a little cultivator, and I cultivated out, I think it was like a 16 by 25 area, which was the size of our garden last year. And so I spent like an hour or so cultivating and all that. And then that's when our neighbor came over. And then that's when the farmer came over. So he actually went around the garden last year. But our permanent garden is inside the fence area. So he could, that was what I called my experimental garden last year. So he has control of that, so he doesn't have that awkward little area that he has to go around. All right, since we had all that rain yesterday, as I thought, a lot of this is full of water right now. We're still debating about whether or not we're actually going to put a pond over here. We have a friend of ours that does site contracting. He's actually done some stuff for us and is going to continue to do some stuff for us. And he's like all in favor of doing the pond because, you know, he'll be the one doing the digging of it. But we don't know yet. As high as we are around here and with the sandy soil, It is sand as far down as we could go. When they were digging the septic tank for Andrea's mother's cabin, you know, that tank had to go down probably at least 5 feet or so. Well, short version is it was sand all the way down, not even close to hitting clay or anything else. What I'm showing you now, that is the remnants of the big tree. One good thing about having a big piece of property and no HOA, I don't have to listen to my neighbors complain about me doing stuff to the property that they don't approve of. So let me see if I can get through the little squishy areas right here. All right, this seems pretty good. And then the other trees are over here. There's a big pile of them right there. And then there's some more piles over there. What you're looking at here, we got a load of dirt, which the site contractor was excavating somewhere. And he's like, basically, he goes, I'll give it to you if you just pay for the gas. And we're like, sold. So we got a load of dirt, and he actually used a lot of it. And but the rest of it he just piled up right there. All right, this is our pathetic compost area. Most of it is actually the hemp chicken bedding. So as you can see, here's more of the trees here. And this is our composting thing that we were trying to use, and that obviously didn't work out very well. Here is my army of pallets. I'm very proud of my army of pallets. And then there's our nylon rope. That nylon rope came when they did the electric for Andrea's mother. They have it, they buried conduit into the ground, which was probably about 2-3 inches in diameter. And they have that nylon rope there. So then when they go to put the actual line through, all they do is they tie it to one end, and then they just, you know, they just take it in on the other side, and you end up with that nylon rope. And the electric company is like, do you want that? And I'm like, yes, please. So I have uses for that. So here's our army of pallets right here. And the place where we actually get the dogs groomed, he was dabbling in pallets, and these were like odd sizes, and he couldn't sell them, so he's getting ready to take them to the dump, which pallets you can only take to the main landfill, which is like 20-25 miles away. And I said, and they're like 5 miles away, and I'm like, I'll take them. And he goes, okay. And so he brought them over here in a big trailer and chucked them on the ground, and then we moved them like 3 times since. So there's a couple more pallets over there. There's part of our dog kennel. But here's our fenced in area right here that you can see. There's the chicken coop. The tent, I'll show you where it's gonna be permanently. And it's TBD on the kennel. The kennel, I think, is gonna get moved also. Originally, we were going to have the kennel be like a bird aviary door. So in case one of the chickens escape, but so far they've been pretty good, so we might not need it for that. But this area, this fenced in area here, is about 105 by 175. Inside of the area has our septic system, including the drain field. It has, obviously the chicken coop is inside of there. We have our pathetic garden, where if you look here, that is a fake whiskey barrel. It's made out of resin instead of wood, because it was like 1/3 of the cost. And Andre wanted to grow potatoes in that. So we got potatoes growing in there, and we got some stuff in the ground. But we've been so focused on getting that chicken coop done, we've been neglecting the garden. We have blueberry bushes that are lost in the weeds over here that we'll have to go get again. We'll have to go find again. We also have all the materials except for the fence itself. We have all the materials to extend this out another 100 feet. Because we want to have blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. Andre wants to have a perennial garden, which is going to have herbs and stuff in it. And then she wants to dabble in grapes a little bit. And so we wanted to keep that separate to keep the guys out of it, because we don't want the guys eating the herbs and stuff. And so that's the reason why we had put that 4-foot gate in, was to have it for the extension garden area, so to speak. That's my little weather station right there that I'm very proud of. That's how come I knew yesterday we had wind gusts over 35 miles an hour and the chicken coop was holding up like a champ. What I'm doing now is, there's our shed in Horry County. As long as you don't live in it, you're allowed to build a structure up to 200 square feet with no permit. That is 12 by 16, which is 192 square feet. So instead of having one big building, we might have several smaller ones. The tent is actually going to go right here. Originally we had dirt on the floor there, but every time we would get dust storms, it would just cake the inside of that storage building with dirt. Everybody told me I was stupid for having it be dirt, and I ended up being right, so that's fine. Just wanted to show the back rail here. If we can get some grass or something to grow here. Grass after the chicken coop stuff is actually next on the list. It's Andrea's mother's junk. She's actually coming back from Arizona right now. She's actually not here. And so we got the drive with the Motel 7. We have enough room where instead of trying to back that Motel 7 in right there, we are able to bring the truck around, swing it around, and then just drop it without having to go in reverse. So I really like that a lot. And so that's her cabin right there. In case you're wondering, I have a video of the inside of it. This is an actual log cabin where the wood, or where the walls are made out of wood, complete wood, just like a log cabin is. And there's our well. Here's the front of our fence. I'm not going to go in the fence area, but I'll zoom in so you can see one of the pavers. All right, if you see the flags with the pavers right there, we have pavers at the beginning and end of our drain lines. And, oh, let me zoom out. There we go. Reason we did that is Andre and I both work in architecture, and I can't tell you how many houses somebody would want to do an addition. They knew they had a septic tank, but they had no idea where the tank or the drain field was. So someone had to literally go out there and poke and prod and find it, which is not cheap and not fun. And so that little mound of dirt right there is where the septic tank itself is. The reason the septic tank is elevated is that in South Carolina, the drain field, the top of the drain field has to be at a certain elevation. And so you can't bury it like 4 feet in the ground. We have no frost line here, so we can do that. And so the drain field determines the height of the septic tank. So we're so flat, that septic tank had to be raised. That red barrel there is our burn barrel. We haven't had a chance to actually use it yet, but that's about it for the property tour. Next up is grass. Since the chicken coop building is winding down, we're actually going to start in on we're going to We got to mow, we got to herbicide, and we have to plant grass. What I call the nighttime area. Hold on a second. Hello, ladies. Doing a little chicken distraction on the way to the nighttime area. They're all just chilling out, sitting on the roost right now. And so they've been in here. This is Sunday now. They've been out here since Wednesday. They survived their first monsoon and thunderstorm yesterday, so that was good. For the monsoon, I left all the doors open, or all the windows open, but on the thunderstorm, since we knew there was going to be higher winds, we went ahead and closed everything up for them. So they obviously survived pretty good. Okay, this is what I call our nighttime area. In essence, it's our little backyard area. We call it the nighttime area because in the morning and at night, we don't want the guys out in the main area, so we keep them in this area. And in this area, we're not going to plant grass seed. We're going to get sod for this. The grass seed we're going to be getting is what they call Bahia grass, which is the grass they use on the side of the highways in the south. But they don't have sod for that around here. You have to get more towards Florida. And it does not make any sense to go to Florida to grab pallets and bring it back, not to mention be too heavy. So what we're doing is we're going to get Bermuda grass and put here. I've had Bermuda grass before. The three choices that we had were Bermuda, Centipede, and St. Augustine. St. Augustine, for lack of a better term, is more of a hoity-toity type grass. I say hoity-toity because it's high maintenance. It looks nice. It looks really nice, but it's a lot higher maintenance. Centipede is basically just a weed that they turned into a grass. We had centipede at our last house, and I hate centipede, so I will never have that again. And then there's Bermuda grass, and Bermuda grass, when it's done properly, it looks like carpet. And it's low growing, and it's very dense. But Bermuda grass and Bahia grass are both drought and wet tolerant to a certain degree, and they're both aggressive, so they will choke out weeds when they're maintained properly. The Bermuda needs a little bit more water requirements than the Bahia does, but honestly, at the end, they have a big grass grudge match, and one of them takes over. I really don't care. Anything's better than what we have right now. We did find out that the grass, or the weeds that have these little like reddish tops on them, that's called sour grass. Reason it's called sour grass is that I guess if you pick it and try to eat it or put it in your mouth, it has a sour taste to it. Somebody that's lived here all their life, that's what they call it, is sour grass. And basically this time of year, that's what basically grows naturally. Because like I said, part of this has been mowed already and part of it is not, and it's a little denser where it hasn't been mowed, but yeah, it all looks like crap right now. So hopefully we can get some grass in. All right, I'm done rambling about the grass. That is the property tour. Let me do a quick thing from the corner here of the nighttime area. So like I said, this is the south side. That's the county property. This is the east side. Those are trees that we own. Let me try to get on top of the chicken coop. The finish on that chicken coop roof is called Galvalume. It's very cool. Even when it's real hot out, it's cool to the touch on the underneath. Then you got the north side over here where the trees stop about right there. And then you have where the house is blocking the rest of the road, and then over to the west over here. So hopefully for the rest of our lives, development will not get out this far. Development is going to have a long way before it gets out here. we do not have water, we do not have sewer out here. So, you know, we have well, we have septic. So there's only a certain density that you can do out here. And there's a ton of real estate between us and the growth of the beach right now. So after we're gone, if this place gets developed in 100 years, that's fine, because I'm not going to be here to deal with it. Just as long as I'm here, I want it to pretty much stay like this for as long as possible. So, done rambling. This is the 1 year tour, and I hope you enjoy it.